We are now going to move on to procrastination, and this is another massive topic that I believe most of us as entrepreneurs will suffer from. People in the corporate world, definitely my own children have come to me with this. You know, it's extremely common, and it might not be what you think procrastination is, but it absolutely stops you being where you want to be. It absolutely stops you in your tracks, and it's incredibly frustrating. So, when we are procrastinating, you might fear that, you know, it's all fear, which is really what procrastination is. You could really fear being judged. Fear of what other people might say about you, or about your work, or about your business, or about how you look. The fear of failure and the fear of success that not many people focus on actually can keep you procrastinating day in, day out, keeping you super busy, doing all sorts of irrelevant stuff, and not what you're supposed to be doing to take that business forward to that next step, to develop that relationship with your partner, to become that fitter, healthier person that you really want to be, to get that extra money into the bank. So that is the key. You will keep yourself busy doing everything irrelevant. So you might well be, you know, for me, for example, one of my biggest fears is technology and computers. So I will do anything but do it, you know, look at my computer to build a landing page or go through some email sequence. I will do anything. I will tidy my office. I will, you know, talk to someone. I will put the washing on. I will think of ideas. I will write an article. I will do anything, but don't let me anywhere near that computer, right? So I keep myself really busy, and I convince myself that I'm really busy, so I haven't got time to do what is relevant to me taking my business forward. So I'd like to introduce Melanie here. Melanie has been part of a family furniture business for many, many years, and it's been in the family for a few generations, and they make the most beautiful things. They got some stunning tables, they do wardrobes, they do all sorts of furniture. And Melanie's job in the family business, she was the marketing manager. And she came to me, she was really stressed, she was overwhelmed with all the workload she was being given, and she became totally unmotivated. She really thought, well, what's the point in all of this? She was really beginning to question her life. She was very tired, she couldn't be bothered to exercise, she let her self-care regime go. She was really in a mess. She really was not able to do her job properly, and it was really beginning to affect her home life as well. And she found herself doing so many irrelevant tasks. So for you at home, do you resonate with that? When there's something that needs to be done, will you do everything else but that one thing? I bet you do, because it's really common. It is really common. What we discovered for Melanie was actually her biggest fear was a fear of success. And this wasn't something she'd even thought about, or anyone else had, to be honest, because she had discussed these problems with, she's got a very close-knit family, she's got some really good friends, but nobody could really pinpoint what was going on with Melanie. Why all of a sudden? Well, it was a gradual process, actually. It was a gradual build-up. But why was she feeling like this? Because on the outside, everything didn't look too bad at all. But what we discovered was her fear of success, because she believed that if she became successful and hit that target, she'd have to sustain that position there. And not only that, she'd then have to hit a bigger target, and a bigger target, and a bigger target. So her greatest fear was she would not be able to do that. And so her mind kept her safe, and it kept her from reaching any target that was expected from her. And so she started to dwindle into that spiral that she wasn't good enough, she was a failure, maybe this wasn't the right job for her anymore. And so she went on and on and on. So you might notice that yourself in your own business. What is your fear? Are you fear of taking that step in case you fail and it doesn't work out? Or are you really scared of becoming successful? And sometimes people, and I've worked with lots of people in this arena, where they've been so scared of becoming successful because they think all their friends are going to run away, because they won't want to associate with them anymore. So there can be lots of reasons why you keep yourself stuck and not achieving. Fears are not real, okay? They are figments in your imagination, because Melanie had no idea, because she hadn't achieved that big target yet, that she couldn't achieve it, that she couldn't achieve more and more and more. So they're built on your own untruths. They are not real. These are the stories going on in your mind. So you can see that Melanie was telling herself stories day in, day out. You tell yourself enough times a story and it becomes a belief. Once it's a belief, you truly believe it. It's your belief. You've created it. And you've created it from nothing, but from some future lies and stories. So, as I said, this is your way of keeping your mind safe, so you are not going to create that success so you can't fail. So what we worked with Melanie was we helped her to look at the tasks that needed to be achieved, and we broke them down into bite-sized chunks. So for instance, if I said to you right now, this weekend I want you to decorate your house, you would not do a thing. It's way too big a task. You would not do a thing. But if I said to you, I would really like you to choose the paint for the front door, you would be able to do that. So this is what we did with Melanie. We broke her tasks that she had been avoiding down into bite-sized chunks. And we made Melanie accountable. So she was accountable to achieve that bite-sized chunk, and she knew she could do it. So I encourage all of you to have 3 goals. One audacious goal. The big audacious goal is you are going to decorate your entire home, right? You then have a goal that pushes you a little bit out of your comfort zone. You are going to decorate the kitchen. And one goal that you can achieve, you are going to choose the paint for the front door. Now, the reason for this is the mind loves completion. The mind needs to know you've completed something that day. It loves completion. And I'm just going to go off on one of my tangents here and talk to you about why social media is very destructive for the mind. It's got its place and it's a brilliant tool, and I'm on it a lot. Probably too much, but it can be very destructive for the mind, simply because there is no end game. Nothing's completed. You can scroll on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can keep scrolling for 24 hours. The mind loves completion. You're actually better to read a chapter of a book. You've completed that chapter, that section. So just bear that in mind, that what really boosts that confidence, what makes you feel good, is completion. And you may find yourself at home now with hundreds of tasks that you've started and you've not completed them, and you don't feel good. So that's why every day it's important to complete one of your tasks. Your working environment is fundamental, right? If you've got a desk with papers all over it and they're falling on the floor and you're so disorganized, that is a sign of what's going on in your mind, right? So I really encourage you to create a good working environment for you. What does it look like? You know, do you want a peaceful, calm place? Do you want it to be all organized so you're not faffing around trying to grab that file or that paper, and you don't know what on earth you're doing the next day. So I believe that organisation is really key for anyone, especially now a lot of us are working from home and we've had to create these mini little offices. You know, we do need to be organised, and before you go to bed at night, you should know exactly what you're doing the next day. That might be flexible because stuff happens in life, but you do need to know what you're doing before you go to bed at night for the next day. The mind loves that. Then the next day, you don't have to make a decision. The decision's made. You've already made it, and that's half the battle with the mind. So it's very important that you have a good working environment. Read about inspirational people. I love reading about people who have overcome challenges, people who have, you know, created incredible things in their lives through literally nothing. And I guarantee you, you'll find in that book that it started with mindset, because that's where everything starts, right? It all starts here. So read about those inspirational people. Get used to writing, right? You are now going to have an opportunity to release those fears inside of you. So, for example, Melanie's fear, she was able to write on paper once she created that awareness. I'm really scared of reaching this goal because I don't think I'm going to, you know, be able to stay at that target, and I'm going to be given a bigger target, and now I've got even further to fall. So once she got this on paper, she was able to see really clearly why she wasn't taking those steps to reach that big target in her business. And so what I invite you to do, and we talk about this a little bit later on, because I'm a big believer in releasing these negative, these harmful, these heavy emotions that are actually just nonsense, but we've got to release them in a physical way. So get them out on paper and rip them up. You don't want them. You don't want them in your life. They're not helping you at all. So these are some of the things that Melanie and I did together. And what happened was that confidence inside of her, so it comes inside of her. You only get confidence from taking the action. How many people come to me and say, I'm going to go for that job interview, or I'm going to talk to that client, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that Facebook Live, when I feel confident? The confidence comes from the action, right? So all those bits and pieces that we did together, she started to feel so much more confident about herself that she could reach that target and another target. It was just breaking it all down into bite-sized chunks.